What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I'm Sid the Nerdy Mark, and today I have your review of NXT and 205 Live. Now, before we begin, a really sad news broke out today on the day of me recording this, which is Wednesday. Unfortunately, Tom Billington, also known as the Dynamite Kid, has tragically passed away at the age of 60. What's even more sad is that today was also his birthday, December 5th. And this is absolutely sad news and very, very tragic. So I personally send out my concerns and condolences to the family and friends of the Dynamite Kid, who of course was one half of the British Bulldogs along with Davey Boy Smith. Many pro wrestlers, including Davey Boy Smith Jr., Will Ospreay, Natalya, and Paige, have sent out their condolences to the families of Dynamite Kid, as well as saying rest in peace. He of course has Dynamite Kid has of course wrestled all across the globe, including the UK, Japan, Canada, and of course the United States. So he's pretty much done it all. He's a pioneer of professional wrestling. Unfortunately, I never got to see any of his matches, but I can definitely see a lot of the influence in today's pro wrestlers. So Dynamite Kid, thank you very much for your contributions to pro wrestling. Rest in power. With that being said, let's dive right in to this week's WWE Network shows, starting with NXT. NXT began with Matt Riddle taking on a debuting Punishment Martinez. Oh my goodness, thank God they called him Punishment Martinez. They didn't change his name to Violent Hernandez or Gruesome Velasquez or Brutal Rodriguez or some crap like that. They kept it as Punishment Martinez, so thank God for that. Only a matter of time though until Vince sees him and just says, well, just keep his name as Punishment or just keep his name as Martinez, because doesn't that make a lot of sense? This was a pretty decent match. I actually really enjoyed it. A great match for Punishment Martinez, a great debut for him. The match ended when the King of Bros quickly hit the Bro Mission, but not before, of course, Martinez got some offense in. But, of course, Riddle got the Bro Mission in and won with a submission victory. After the match, Cassius Ohno appears on the entrance ramp and hits a knockout elbow onto Matt Riddle as a response to his humiliation at War Games. So this feud is still going on. I'm looking forward to see where they take it from here. We now get the Forgotten Sons taking on Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo in a fine match. It's not anything amazing, nothing spectacular. I really didn't care much about this because the Forgotten Sons, for me, don't really do much. They feel almost like the WWE's answer to the Briscoe brothers from Ring of Honor. So I get it that they're all former military, and as I've mentioned before, I have nothing but the utmost respect for our armed forces. Forgotten Sons, thank you for your service. I definitely will never forget that. The match did end with the Forgotten Sons getting the pinfall victory. They look like a bunch of badasses, and that's great, but I really want some more depth to their characters. Please give them something else to do besides just come in and beat on Carrillo and Mendoza, who basically are just there as enhancement talent anyway. So please, let's give them something else. Give them a storyline. Give them a feud. My friend Tim Farley, he was suggesting pair him up with Lacey Evans. I'd be fine with that, but something interesting for the Forgotten Sons, please. Otherwise, they will be forgotten once again. Next up, we do have Dakota Kai, captain of Team Kick, taking on the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, who is of course flanked by Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir. And this was a pretty decent match. Kai definitely got quite a bit of offense in, and it was really good. She looked amazing in this match, as did Baszler. She did a great job too. I mean, Shayna is amazing in the ring. By the way, I do want to go to an NXT takeover or an NXT live taping, and I'm going to bring up a sign that says, Shayna, please don't kill me, because she literally looks like she wants to go out and kill somebody. That's just the vibe she definitely gives off, right? And I get that's what they're going for, but still, I'm like genuinely scared of that woman. The match did end when Dakota Kai was going for a devastating kick, but then Baszler did transition it into a Kirifuda clutch for the win, and then afterwards, Duke and Shafir came in and started beating up on Dakota Kai, and who came out to make the save but Io Shirai. She came out and fended off all three of the four horsewomen. Surprisingly, Kairi Sane wasn't around, but I'm kind of fine with that. It's good. Io gets some time to shine. I do hope Io does take on Duke or Shafir next week. That would be pretty awesome. So before we get to the main event, a couple of quick promos and packages. We do have a package for Ricochet highlighting his time in NXT, which is fantastic. Next week he will basically be having an open challenge for the North American title, so that should be pretty cool. We do have a fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Champion coming up very soon, and of course Bianca Belair secured her spot in an NXT live event. The Velveteen Dream was getting interviewed by Kathy Kelly, and he changed the NXT logo to purple and then gave his interview, which was really cool. He's saying that despite his loss, people are still talking about the Velveteen Dream, so that was really good stuff. So excited for everything happening in the future for NXT. So the main event wasn't really a match. Instead, it was the NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa coming out with Goldie, and he cuts a promo on how he is the best sports entertainer alive. He even takes a shot at Mauro Ranallo, who just has a dispassionate look on his face, and that was just priceless. I loved it. So he even mocked the Mamma Mia thing that Ranallo does. But Ciampa is quickly interrupted by Aleister Black, the former NXT champion, and he invokes his rematch clause for TakeOver Phoenix. So it is actually official. I saw on Instagram that it is official that Black and Ciampa are going to have a rematch for the NXT title. So that should be good. I'm excited for Phoenix already. Johnny Gargano interrupts, and he comes in and he says that he's not finished with Aleister Black, despite him absolving Johnny of his sins and whatnot. And Tommaso Ciampa kind of instigates this even more. Calls Johnny Wrestling Johnny Badass. This was a really good segment. The tension is amazing between all three of these superstars. The culmination of all this is Ciampa suggests that Aleister and Gargano should have been inside that cage at War Games, but he proposes that they have a steel cage match, to which Gargano and Aleister agree. Aleister says, "I'll fight you anywhere, even in a parking lot." And Gargano retorts with, "How did that work out for you?" Johnny's savage, I guess. Now, Aleister Black tries to hit a Black Mass onto Johnny Gargano, which he evades. Tommaso Ciampa is laughing. Black hits a Black Mass onto Ciampa, and Gargano and Black have a stare down, and that's how NXT ends. 205 Live began with Drew Gulak accompanied by gentleman Jack Gallagher taking on the Brian Kendrick accompanied by Akira Tozawa, who now both have matching gear, so that's pretty interesting. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed this one. I think this is something that the 205 Live fans really wanted to see, including myself, so I really wanted to see this. This was a great match. There's nothing that completely stood out for me for it. The match in its entirety was just amazing to watch, so you definitely need to check this one out. I do wish it did go on for a little bit longer, but I kind of understand that they're continuing to extend the storyline because the match ended with Gallagher getting involved. He first takes out Tozawa, but Brian Kendrick hit a sliced bread number 2 onto Drew Gulak. He's about to pin him, but Gallagher came in and beat up on Brian Kendrick, throwing the match out. The heels basically beat up the faces, and they stand tall. So as I mentioned, this story is still continuing. Next up, we do have Arya Daivari, who made his return last week. He is now getting into his first match since being gone for 7 months. He takes on a local jobber, and this is a pretty short match. He makes quick work of him. Hideo Itami is watching backstage, very awkwardly, looking at the television screen and whatnot. This was all right. It was a squash. Arya Daivari kept on clotheslining this poor guy until he basically collapsed. So that was basically that was the match itself. That was the whole match. So welcome back, Arya Daivari, I guess. So a couple of promos before the main event. Mustafa Ali cuts another impassioned promo because Cedric Alexander is going to finally get his rematch against Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight title. He says that he's happy for Cedric, but he's still coming after the Cruiserweight Championship. In the end, we did have Tony Nese cutting a promo on Cedric Alexander, he's going to face next week, saying that he's going to basically beat Cedric Alexander, so that was cool. Noam Dar is going to have a shot at Buddy Murphy. Noam Dar is cutting a selfie promo saying that he wants to basically teach Buddy Murphy a lesson for getting involved and disrespecting him. We also had Drake Maverick talking to the aforementioned Buddy Murphy, talking about, Cedric Alexander. Basically, Buddy Murphy says he's not too concerned because he feels that Mustafa Ali is the tougher of the two of them, and it took both of them to pin him, so he's not worried at all. So that was there. And of course, Cedric Alexander responded to Buddy Murphy saying that, he was going to beat him and whatnot. So, pretty standard promos from all these different people. So yeah, but I just wanted to get that out there before we moved on to the main event. And it is time for the main event. Mike Kanellis and TJP taking on Kalisto and Lince Dorado of the Lucha House Party in a tornado tag team match. That means there are no tags and I guess no disqualifications, I believe. And this was pretty good. This was a fun match to see. I did enjoy this one quite a bit. A lot of cool antics here, like Lince Dorado hitting a double gun stun on both Kanellis and TJP. That was good stuff. The whole story here was TJP with his continued obsession for masks. It's funny. He talks about how much he hated luchador wrestling or whatever, but he still is obsessed with getting their masks. So I feel that is a bit conflicting in my opinion. No, I get it. I understand why he's doing it. It's to insult the lucha wrestling, whatever the hell. But, it's still kind of weird. if you want a mask, just go buy one, Just go buy one. I'm sure you can find one for cheap. They were using, the piñatas and breaking them as a distraction, which is so weird because Maria Kanellis, had this whole master plan and whatnot. And if it was to steal their piñatas and break it in front of them, I'm sorry, but that's a crappy plan. That is terrible. You need to go back to the old drawing board, sweetheart. We did have mini piñatas in the little bag that Lince Dorado spilled out, and TJP was thrown onto them, hit his back on them because apparently they're more painful than thumbtacks. This was whatever, but the match did end with a really good Salida del Sol 450 splash combo by the Lucha House Party. And of course they win. It looks like this feud is over, but I don't know yet. I kind of hope it is. I do want to see TJP and Kanellis going off into something different. So overall, I thought both shows were pretty good this week. They were really good this week. I think NXT was really good, and 205 Live was pretty decent. And NXT, my favorite match, I gotta give it to, of course, Punishment Martinez versus Matt Riddle. That was a damn good match. Fun fact, those two are actually really good friends in real life. So obviously, we do have good chemistry between those two in the ring. I did forget to mention that the Undisputed Era cut a promo. Bobby Fish cutting a promo on EC3. It was really good. I enjoyed that. On 205 Live, I'm going to say match of the night for me was the first match, Drew Gulak versus the Brian Kendrick. They did end it a little bit sooner than I wanted it to, but that's fine. It just leaves me wanting more, and I do think we are going to get more in the subsequent weeks. So that pretty much concludes my thoughts on NXT and 205 Live this week. Let me know what you guys thought about both shows in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media, and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. This is Sid, signing off. You guys take care. Bye-bye.